Welcome to Movies from Memory, a new segment from Raiders of the Lost podcast. Today we're going to try to recount the entire film of Interstellar from memory. Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. Today, like James said, we're going to try to recount the entire plot of Interstellar from memory. Now, James, when was the last time you saw this film? I think the last time I saw it from start to finish was probably, I want to say like 2021, maybe. I think when we did an episode on it was the last time I actually sat down and watched it in its entirety.
I would say probably 2 years at least.
Maybe another time in between there, maybe 2021 later in the year I watched it before.
I've seen the movie. I've seen it maybe 8 times.
Something like that for me, yeah.
But I haven't watched it in a while just because, every year there's so many great releases out the last couple of years, and then getting into TV a lot, so I haven't watched Interstellar in a long-ass time.
Well, we used to rewatch the hell out of movies before we had the podcast, but now we have so many movies to watch for the show
That's
that
true,
my rewatching of the same 20 movies every year has just disappeared.
And also you would put Batman Begins on the background while you worked.
Exactly. Yeah. I first wanted to do Batman Begins for this movies from memories, but then I'm like, it's pretty non-linear for the first hour. Let's test this off with a more linear story from Chris Nolan, even though there are a couple flashbacks, the opening has a little quick flashback, but this entire movie is linear, even though he's traveling through gravity, sending messages through gravity back in time. Interstellar, Coop's entire story is linear. It's a common misconception that it's non-linear.
Yeah, it's a rarity for his films, and it's definitely not the most watched.
Well, it's not a rarity. It's half his movies.
It's definitely not the most watched movie of his for me. I've seen, I think, Batman Begins, Inception, and Dark Knight for sure more times than Interstellar, but it's still up there in the media. In Prestige, I've probably seen The Prestige more times than Interstellar too.
I've probably seen The Prestige just as many times as Interstellar, but I love The Prestige. That's one of my...
That would be a tough one to do from memory.
That one would be tough because it's so long and the whole thing is non-linear.
Oh my God.
Memento would be a little easier because it's shorter. It's right around 2 hours, but Prestige I feel is 2:20, 2.5.
Something like that. But
we have I don't want to spoil the Prestige, but we have lots of lookalikes in that movie.
We also, using the honor system, I have not looked up the plot of Interstellar. I haven't watched any recaps. I did not watch the trailer. So I'm completely gonna try and be figuring this out along with you. We're gonna be just seeing how we do.
Yes, I have a notepad here, and also I have the Interstellar script that a friend gave me several years ago. Thanks, Natalie. But I haven't read it. I've never actually read it, but it's just cool to
Didn't
have.
know you could read.
But in case we get really lost or just really stuck, I have this just to flip through it real quick to see something, because I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm expecting it to be pretty funny.
It might be a disaster
because we probably haven't seen this in a year and a half. And
we're probably going to be wrong a bunch. We'll see.
Yeah, so don't get frustrated. I'm sure someone's going to be screaming at their car radio at some point.
It's someone on YouTube commented on a video that, how can we take you seriously if you got something wrong?
Well, the thing is, that was different because I corrected you on the episode.
Immediately.
Yeah, I immediately corrected you. Then the person's like, how can we respect their opinion if they made a mistake? I'm like, have you never made a mistake before? And I corrected him. It's not like we were pushing up misinformation. Fucking Snopes is going to come after us, I guess.
Here comes Snopes. Okay, want to do this?
All right. So
the film opens.
Well, it came out in 2014. Interstellar. It opens Syncope.
Yes.
And this is Warner Brothers, obviously. And then, so we have...
This is the first time... Well, Nolan has done a title credit a couple of times. Not opening credits, but one image with the title. He did it in The Prestige with the hats.
Yes.
He did it in Memento, which was actually an opening title credits with the reversing of the Polaroid photograph developing. And then in this film, it's another instance where he did just this nice tracking of the bookshelf with dust falling, and then it goes to that spaceship, the toy spaceship with Interstellar, the title above it.
And the difference here, though, is... we don't see that image later in the film, whereas The Prestige, we see the hats later on in the film because that's kind of he's telling, like we always say, he tells you the rules of his films in the first couple minutes. He's telling you like this, he's giving you a sneak of what's happening. The gravity, the dust is so important in space and
in the bookshelf.
Exactly. So everything, all the major parts of the movie are kind of in this opening shot. Like that's something I clearly know is with the opening of this film and with the title of Interstellar, which is really cool.
He's never done that before, where it was like a shot that's not seen in the movie again.
Yeah, and then Memento, obviously, that's later on in the film, but the timeline is right there correctly.
Yeah, it's the opening and the ending, essentially.
All right, so
we got that.
We got the opening shot. Let's go. Hopefully that's the opening shot. Then, so I feel like, so it opens up. I know that the crash, when he's dreaming of the crash and wakes up, is almost next, but I feel like we're flashback. I wouldn't technically call it a flashback.
It's present.
This is when he opens up with the documentary style like interviews of we don't know it's Coop. We don't know it's Coop, old Coop, old lady Coop.
Oh, yeah.
She says
Murph.
Yeah, Murph. I mean, sorry, Murph.
Old lady Coop, you're already
Murph.
fucked up.
Our old lady
Matthew McConaughey, played by Ellen Bernstein.
Old lady Murph. My father was a farmer.
But I remember the first time we saw this in theaters, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
he's doing like
a documentary movie.
Yeah, Talking Heads documentary.
And so we have a quick interview of Murph. And then
a bunch of other people
in the shot. Yeah, like
they're talking about the Dust Bowls
and how
in
they
the
used
Midwest.
to flip their bowls upside down.
Yes, yeah. And this is actually based on the real Dust Bowl that the Midwest dealt with in the 1930s, I believe, where it was really this bad.
Murph is the only character of the movie. The other people are real people that were alive during the Dust Bowl, and Nolan actually used them for interviews, which is really cool.
And I believe it's footage from a real interview. From who's that guy that you visited, the documentarian who's got like Emmy awards or something?
What is his name?
You know what I'm talking about? I think that guy might have been the director who made that documentary.
Sounds like a weird sentence.
The old man whose house you visited.
hey Jim, remember that old documentary filmmaker you visited? I got invited through my school to go meet him. He's an Emmy and Oscar winner.
Yeah, he's won like a bunch of Emmys.
I was like 20.
I think that he might have been the director of the Dust Bowl documentary, and then Nolan pulled footage and then made new footage to mix it in together, I believe.
I don't know, man. It looked like fucking IMAX footage to me.
True.
It looked like Nolan filming.
Or maybe he lifted it and then reshot it.
Or maybe he just something.
Mm-hmm. We don't have the phones on us, so we can't look it up.
Anyways,
no cheating allowed.
We can't look it up. All right, this is going to be a long episode. All right, let's move on.
We're already 30 seconds in.
Let's get going. We're at 30 seconds in the movie.
There's the crash. We got the crash.
Okay, no, yeah, so not technically a crash. It's the dream. Also, I feel like the cornfield shot's in there, but then...
We do a slow push-in of the farmhouse.
Yeah, exactly. In the corn. And then we have Coop in the ship, in the cockpit of a ship that's going down. He's on the radio.
I don't think he screams.
And then he wakes up in his room. Murph comes and asks if he's dreaming of the crash.
Are you dreaming of the crash again?
And she says something about Grandpa, and he's like, get the fuck to bed. And then the glorious shot of Koopa goes over to the window. He looks out at the cornfield, and we have the
Oregon, yeah.
Opening of Interstellar.
And Hoyt Van Hoytema, his first time working with Nolan, and you can already tell it's special. Very minimal lighting. Just they're not trying to fill in the room. You can't even see most of it, but they don't care. They want it to feel like a real environment, and it just looks terrific. And obviously, as you all know, they really planted that corn and sold it for a profit.
Yeah. Christopher Nolan planted 500 acres of corn and sold it for a profit afterwards.
But they weren't sure about it growing because they grew it up near the mountains. And that's what's different about this farm when you look at it. There are mountains in the background, and farms in this kind of agriculture doesn't usually grow near mountains because the soil is not that rich. But it worked out.
Sorry, I'm just like...
I'm stalling.
Well, anyways, so in case you didn't know, corn can't grow next to mountains, so they were unsure of what was going to happen. We were counting the movie.
Well, I'm describing why there are mountains. Because humanity's become so desperate, their farms are being set up where they generally wouldn't be set up, is what I'm getting at.
Everyone's a farmer now.
Yeah.
Moving on.
We get some farming scenes, right?
No. So
breakfast?
So the
dust in the room.
Let me fucking talk. Holy shit. Dust. What was it, an auction? Shut the fuck up. All right, then we have the breakfast downstairs, I'm pretty sure, where he goes down there. Timothy Chalamet is making fun of Murph. And she broke the shuttle, and because she blames it on
The ghost.
The ghost in her bedroom. Coop's like, there's no such thing as ghosts.
You idiot.
Timmy's making fun of her. He's being such a dick, such a bad boy.
Is that why you like him?
I like Timmy for a lot of reasons. And then also,
John Voight's is Coop's father.
Lithgow.
I'm sorry.
Lithgow. John Lithgow is the grandfather, and he reminds Coop of parent-teacher conferences.
Correct. And then they go to the parent-teacher conference.
Not yet.
They get in the cornfield chase.
They get in the truck.
Yeah.
And then they see the drone in the air. Coop tracks it down, goes to the cornfield chase. Anthony butchers music when he ever tries to do it.
I'm tone deaf, bro. Get over it. Then we get the terrific sequence of driving through the corn, just destroying their own crops.
No, it's not their field.
It's their cornfield, right?
Who knows what field it's in? Who knows how long they've been driving for?
Could be anyone's.
It could be anyone's. Now, they go through the field. No, first, flat tire, Murph.
Flat tire.
Before that, let's backtrack. They get a flat,
yes,
and Timmy blames it on Murph. Murphy's Law, you did this because of you. And then Coop has that
she's
talk.
named after Murphy's Law.
Let me get to it. Jesus. Coop takes Murph aside, says, she's like, why'd you name me Murph if it's just something bad? He's like, it doesn't mean that anything can go wrong, will go wrong. It means that anything can happen, basically. That's why they named her Murph. And then they fix the tire. And actually, they go on the flat because Timmy goes, what about the tire?
Yeah. So it's not even fixed yet.
Yes.
But he loves science. So once he saw a drone, he's like, I gotta get that thing.
Well, it's not just for science because he's going to get the fuel cells from inside. Sure. So they track down they go through the cornfield.
I'm sorry. Do we know that the machines aren't working yet?
No,
not yet.
No, I don't think so.
Not yet.
Not the anomaly.
Yeah.
Not yet. So they go through the cornfield. Awesome sequence. They stop right before the edge of the cliff. They use the laptop to bring the drone down because Coop hacks it. Murph lands it, and then they get the fuel cells and he puts it in the trunk base on the bed of the truck.
Yeah, and we learned that it's a drone that's just been waywardly flying around for a long time.
Yeah,
it no longer had a purpose. So now Cooper is giving it a new purpose.
Well, we're gonna give it some fuel cells for a tractor on their farm, whatever he says,
something like that.
But Murph's like, "What? Can't we just let it go? It's not hurting anybody."
I'm gonna hurt you if you keep mouthing off to me.
Shut up, Murph.
So then after this, then they drive to the school, and then Cooper has the meeting with. It seems to be the principal and one of the teachers talking about how his son is a dummy.
He's not a dummy.
He's not going to be able to get into college.
Yes.
And then his daughter is having trouble in school behavior-wise. But then we also learn that the culture of the world has changed in terms of we're no longer pursuing science. We're no longer pursuing exploration or discovery as a way of helping us or advancing our species. And we've just basically become stagnant and are focused on just producing food. And that's it, to maintain survival for people.
Yeah, and we got a lot of exposition of the world where we can assume as the principal says things like, we ran out of food, not computers or TV screens. The world needs farmers.
David Oyelowo.
Yeah.
Early role.
And so basically that's what Coop's son is going to be. He's become a farmer just like Coop. We also learned some background on Coop, how he has engineering skills, and they're like, what is that? Like a fighter jet? He's like, no, that's an aerial drone for something cool.
Like how you had the McConaughey drawl.
I gotta get it in there. And then we learn more about Coop, who is precocious, but she brought in that Murph. Sorry. We learn more about Murph.
Little Coop is so precocious.
We learn more about Murph, who's precocious and also a disruptor in class because she brought in that old science textbook, who her teacher thinks is ridiculous because now they're feeding the world that it's
propaganda campaign,
faked moon landing, that science and going to space was all a lie to
you
defeat
don't think we went to the moon?
To outdo the Soviets to lead them into financial ruin.
Yeah, so we've learned that the society of America and probably the rest of the world is really just mainly focused on producing agriculture and in getting people to become farmers to just grow as much food as they can. And also, most of the older crops are no longer growing anymore. Okra is a really common product that's being grown now. It's something else. I can't remember.
Okra's going to die next. We learn later on.
And then what else? What's like the number one?
It's corn.
Corn?
Yeah.
Corn and okra and lentils. I'm just kidding. I don't know about lentils.
Also, they're saying like what are you gonna do about Murph? And then Coop's like, well, there's this team coming to town that she really likes and a baseball game. So I think I'm gonna take her to that. Then he goes into the truck and she's like, what happened? He's like, I got you suspended.
It's amazing. And then the baseball game, it's the Yankees.
Yes,
it's the actual New York Yankees, but baseball has become such an unimportant thing now that even the professional baseball team, they're just playing to like local towns.
Yes. So now the next sequence is I think it's the anomaly
in
at
the
farm.
house. Yeah.
At the farm with the tractors, where Lithgow's character, the grandfather, is like, you gotta get back here. There's something going on with the tractors.
So all of the machines and tractors they've all just like driven themselves towards the property and they all stopped.
And they don't know what the anomaly is. We know that the anomaly was gravity and the message being sent through time there. That's why they're all heading there. But they don't know that yet. And then, so I think that's the next scene.
I believe so.
And then we have
the dust scene.
No, so the baseball game.
Oh, baseball game.
Baseball game, Yankees. And then the dust storm comes over.
Bowl, yeah, it's really great. And the entire town it's also like whenever I watch actors wearing masks in movies, I always get PTSD about 2020. It's so funny because a couple of them are wearing like those N95 masks, I think. But then we have
N95.
N95. What did I say? I said N.
I just said it. I think I solved the whole Pam problem.
Is it a Pam with an N?
It's two M's.
It's a silent N. But it's really terrific filmmaking. They actually used real practical dust. It wasn't dirt dust, but I think it was like a kind of plastic silicone dust, and they really did blow it all over the streets of this town. So none of that CGI. The only CGI shot is the dust cloud approaching the baseball stadium because it was just way too big for them to create or control. But everything that you see of them driving through the town, the car getting covered, it was all practically done.
And I like the baseball scene because we get Lithgow being grumpy grandpa, but Lithgow represents us. We're the millennials, and so
oh my god,
we're that generation. So we were. Right. He's like, back in my day, we had real ball players.
We had TikTok.
I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know what team this is. Because it's like the New York Yankees, but it's like anyone could probably sign up to be on the team.
Yeah. Look, it showcases that the world is uninterested in things like entertainment. That part of society is just gone. Entertainment, like in sports and probably television and movies, are not important either.
It looks like it's starting to come back, maybe making a comeback. Now we have the dust scene. They get to the house. They get inside, and we have Coop saying, everyone close your windows. Then Murph, of course, forgot her window. And then she goes up and Coop chases after her. And she finds, and they both find, the gravitational basically pathways.
It's a pattern.
In the dust, giving some sort of coordinates or pattern. He finds out it's binary coordinates for a location. But before that, Coop obviously is like, praying to it is what Lithgow says to him, but they discover this interesting gravitational pattern in the dust in the air.
Yeah, because the quarter falls right down into it really quickly, so it's magnetized.
It's gravity.
Oh yeah, it's not magnetized.
It's
gravity.
Not binary. Sorry. I mean, it's not what's he called? Not what's
Morse.
It's not Morse. It's binary.
They think it's Morse at first, but it is binary.
And also, at some point, Murph's notebook says something that she's trying to figure out in Morse code.
With the bookshelves, because the books push off for shelves on their own. They've always done that, and no one really believes her. That's why she thinks there's a ghost and that the house is kind of haunted, because books will just come flying off the shelf. And so she's been marking that for probably months now, and she thinks that it's definitely Morse code.
I think that's something we forgot that comes
into
play
happens earlier in the film. Yeah.
Now, what's happening next? So
after this, he translates the code into coordinates, and then he sets off to drive there to check it out. Tells Murph, go back inside, you can't come with me. And then he goes back into the truck, and then he's driving on the freeway towards this coordinated location. And then he discovers Murph was hiding under his clothes in the front seat. So down there, they're tagging along on this little adventure.
I think we're missing a scene that happens a little early on with Coop and I can't remember Lithgow's character, his name. So they're on the front porch, having a beer, talking about
it's the theme of the movie,
about how Coop's like, we've lost our urge to explore what made humanity great. Since when did we become so concerned with our spot in the dirt versus looking up to the skies? And so that's a scene I think that happens earlier on. I think I could be
You're
wrong,
right.
but I feel like it's placed earlier.
You're 100% right. You couldn't be more right.
Couldn't be more right. All right, so Coop and
It
Murph.
was after the school meeting. After school.
Yeah,
meeting.
you're right. So Coop and Murph in the truck going to the location. They stop at this fence, and he gets out of the truck, and that's when they get taken over by
Something we don't
some
see.
mysterious figure.
But it's scary because she screams when she sees it, although we don't
Why
see.
does it sound like Harry in Azkaban? Harry's mom, the Dementor. Who was screaming? Nobody
You
was.
fainted. You actually fainted.
No one was screaming, Harry.
You're fucking idiot. You're such a weirdo, Harry.
All right. We
So,
eventually learn
yeah.
that this is Tars, who the next scene is McConaughey Coop being interrogated by this robot.
A former Marine robot. These
Yeah.
are the kinds of robots they would put out in the field. And then Anne Hathaway's character, Dr. Brandt, shows
Brand.
up. Brand. There's no T at the end? Brandt?
It's Brand.
I think it's Brandt.
Brand.
B-R-A-N-D-T?
Why is there? Hold on.
Double check that. Hold on. Double
There's
check
no
that.
fucking T in Brand.
Brandt.
Brand?
Brandt.
Get out- this guy. Silent T's out of here.
Dr. Brandt.
Brand.
No T?
No T.
All right. Well, anyways.
Hold on. Let's go his character. I think I can get his name here.
Okay, we're due to cheat for a sec because
I'm just looking at a character name. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
cheating.
yeah.
Donald.
Donald. I was way off.
And so Coop thinks that this is some sort of secret society that's going to kill them. They stumbled upon something. He's like, I need assurances that, we're going to get out of here, basically. I want to see my daughter. And Brandon assures him that she's safe. And then she takes Coop into a conference room with Murph as well. And he's like, I don't know. We need assurances that we're going to get out of here alive. I don't want anything to happen to my daughter.
Yeah.
And
Because
then,
I'm sure he knows that, like, shady government forces like that will probably kill someone if they have to.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're like laughing, like, Coop, don't you know who we are? And he recognizes Dr. Brand, played by Michael Caine. And they're like, we're NASA. You're NASA?
NASA is now like this small, tiny organization kind of working secretively in a way. The public doesn't even know they're still a thing. And they have the secret mission. They reveal to Coop that they are planning to carry out this huge expedition to explore a new place for humanity to survive.
Well, they've already done it.
They found a bunch of planets, and they sent off solo missions of a bunch of astronauts, the bravest men and women,
The best of us.
the best of us.
Dr. Man.
Dr.
We don't
Mann,
see a photo
we
of.
we don't see the photo of yet, but it'll end up being obviously Matt Damon's character.
What's the mission called again?
Operation Fuck Yourself?
No, it's like a Greek name.
Something like that.
It's
yeah, something like that.
I'm gonna Google that because I'm curious. Operation Fuck Yourself. I don't think is the right
Hey,
one.
but the
like
the
Pegasus,
Goal,
or-
the goal. I don't think Pegasus. But the goal is that they found a bunch of planets that could possibly sustain life, and so each of these astronauts went on a solo expedition to each of these planets on their own to see if they could work. And the goal was, there's no way to get back because the journey was too far. But what they can do is if they get to a planet and it does seem like it can sustain life, they would send back a signal to NASA saying, this is the spot. This can work. And if they landed on a planet that could not sustain life, they're basically fucked and they were just going to die.
I couldn't find the name, but I think it's Lazarus.
It might be Lazarus.
I think it's
It might be
Lazarus.
something like that. Sounds kind of right.
That sounds kind of right.
Yeah.
Now, also, they're curious how the hell Coop and Murph stumbled upon NASA, the best kept secret in the United States for the community and for the government. How did they find them? And then Murph explains that it was gravity. And then they kind of explain how they were sent coordinates at their location. And this gives these people at NASA a lot of hope because they know that for some reason they were sent the coordinates by whoever put this wormhole in their solar system. For some reason, there's a wormhole in our solar system, and wormholes are not naturally occurring phenomenon. Someone placed it there, and that's where they're sending these astronauts for the Lazarus missions. I think it definitely is Lazarus.
I think you might be right. Are they already calling it a fifth dimensional beings as a theory?
They don't know anything yet.
They just call whoever put it
They just
there.
call it these people or whoever did
undefined.
it. Yes.
Yeah, undefined.
They're
Okay.
not at that point yet of interdimensional beings.
And then Dr. Brand shows Coop the labs in their base of operations and shows that, there's really no way to sustain life much longer on Earth. And next okra is dying and then corn's going to stop growing. So there really is no way to keep feeding the people of Earth. So their plan is to find a new home.
And he says your children will be the first generation of people that suffocate.
Yeah. exactly. And so, and the base is also a ship that they've been building.
Do you notice anything about the building?
It's a ship. It's a space station. And so the plan is told to Coop that there's 2 objectives. One objective is to find a new planet to sustain life for humanity, and then the backup plan B is they have like millions of like eggs or something.
No. So
I'm trying to remember.
plan A is to find the planet, but also solve the problem of gravity.
Exactly.
Dr. Brand's going to solve the problem of gravity. That's plan A.
And save Earth.
And send the people of Earth by solving gravity to this new location and to colonize another planet with the survivors of Earth. But then plan B is the colonization of and growth of the embryos that they have stored.
Yes. Okay. So then
the big freezer full of pre-made babies.
Yeah. That's it. I couldn't think of the word. Embryos are not eggs.
Embryos.
So those are the 2 plans, although ultimately we will learn that the plan A was always bullshit.
That's why plan A is a lot more fun.
I'm Michael Caine.
So, but plan A, again, to solve the formula of gravity.
Yes.
The problem with
gravity. The secret
gravity.
of gravity, yeah.
And then he promises Coop that if you take this mission, they want Coop to do it because something sent Coop here. He's also one of the only people on the planet in the United States that's trained to do this.
You're the best pilot we ever had.
This was a mission you were meant to do, basically. And I think they believe in something happened. The people who put the wormhole here sent Coop to them.
And then Coop has motivations. He has a motivation to save humanity, to save his children. But then also, we learn in the first act of the film that he was never able to really do what he was great at, and being a pilot and being an explorer and involved in discovery, and that's something that he never got to do.
What's Donald says, you're born 20 years too late or 20 years too early.
Yeah.
You were good at something, you never got to do anything with it.
Exactly. So there's kind of like, in a way, there's like a chip on his shoulder of wanting to do what he said, he feels like he was born to do, and we always desired to do. So that's the other motivation for him going on the mission.
And what I really like about this film also is it's like no BS, no like training montage or anything. We just get right to the eruption.
Yes.
But also he goes home and we have the really important scene with him and Murph after he accepts the mission, where she's in her bedroom. This is him saying goodbye to his family, and Murph does not want him to go. We have the whole scene of stay, which is really emotional. We have the bookshelf, the books fall down in the same pattern again, and she's like, look, it says stay. I figured it out. It says stay, so you have to stay. And he gives her the watch, and he says,
oh, so I'm sorry, before he even arrived, she already solved that code.
Yeah. But this is all like kind of that same scene. Yeah. And he gives her the watch, and he says what he think will be a reassuring thing, something fun, like, who knows, we might even be the same age when I get back. And then she realizes, you don't know when you're coming home. You may never, ever come home. But unfortunately for him, he keeps that watch because I gave it to her. And so this is really emotional. And, the bookshelves and then leaving and her crying. This is
so sad.
It's such an intense scene, and it gets me every time.
And what's her name? The actress's name, Mackenzie Foy, I think, is her name. She really just crushed that scene. She broke my heart. Oh, my God.
She's really terrific. And then Coop has to leave Murph and is basically like, please don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me. I have to go. And
then he says goodbye to his son.
And Sir Donald gives him a hug. It's like, it's your truck now.
Yeah.
And
then he
drives away. And this is all with Hans Zimmer's incredible music from Stay, that incredible track, as well as the countdown for the rocket ship as it erupts and goes off, and that great shot from the back of the engine, whatever those thrusters are called, and then take off into space. No BS, no training. Let's go.
And again, not just no training, but there's no like system analyst. There's no NASA team. We're not seeing like a back and forth of everyone watching it. It's just launch, a couple of edits of really incredible filmmaking and practical cinematography of depicting the launch, and then eventually leaving the orbit, leaving the atmosphere, getting rid of its excess baggage, and then we're just like in the spaceship. No, like, we don't need all that other stuff. We don't need to see what it's like at NASA during the launch. We don't need to see everybody clapping like, we did it! We did it! Not important. Nolan knew, like, just get to space as quickly as possible.
Fuck it. And then we meet the rest of the crew. Wes Bentley plays Doyle, who we met earlier in the NASA boardroom, as well as what's his name?
And Anne Hathaway Brand is on the ship.
Brand.
Yeah.
And then the other character who plays the other one, so Romley,
Romley.
played by David Gyasi, who is also inside the conference room for NASA. So this is the 4-person crew with Brand, Coop, Romley, and Doyle.
Yeah.
And then the 4 crew, and then we see a successful orbit and leaving of Earth's atmosphere and orbit, and then the gravitational spin happening on the ship to maintain gravity for them and create a G-force so that they can experience natural gravity, as well as Romley needing some food or Dramamine.
He's panicking about how just between this
No, that's later.
Okay.
No, this is where he's feeling faint and he's like, yeah, get some more Dramamine. And Brand, bring a lot, because he's getting, motion sickness probably.
Sure, yeah,
later.
That's
Is
what it
like
is.
That's in a little bit.
Yeah, in a little bit, yeah.
And so they're on.
And also we learned that the mission is they're going for the wormhole. They're going
Yes.
towards their wormhole. That's their direction.
They're going to follow the Lazarus missions and find whoever. So all the astronauts were sent through the wormhole to all these different planets, and they are supposed to let up a signal of whether, like, a thumbs up, come here, or thumbs down, don't come here. Thumbs up meaning that human life can be sustained and happen on that planet. And so they have a couple hopefuls. They have Dr. Mann. He's sending a positive signal, as well as Dr. Miller is sending a positive signal.
Yeah.
And
Miller's planet. Yeah.
And then a questionable signal from another doctor, another planet, which is eventually the water planet. So their objective is to go through the wormhole and make contact with whoever is sending a thumbs up signal.
And unfortunately, they don't. The astronauts, their plan, each one of them on their planets, is if they can sustain life there, they're supposed to do research for the years it takes for a rescue team to come see them, so they can have analyses of that planet that they're on. And so the astronauts expect that if we go to Miller's planet, if we go to Mann's planet, they'll have all this information we need to know the viability of the planet.
All right, so now we're getting into the point where
Before the long sleep.
Yeah. We have, again, that's, I think, the millimeters.
Yes.
Where,
So Romley is like, he's like getting claustrophobic and he's dying and like panicking inside because he's thinking that there's only a few millimeters of metal between him and aluminum between him and the vacuum of space.
And then nothingness.
Yeah.
And the Coop gives them the headset, the headphones.
Oh, yeah. What is it? Is it nature sounds?
Yeah, it's like
nature sounds.
Chirping and birds and rain and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have
It's Hans Zimmer score.
Here, listen to this, bro.
Hans Zimmer just made a lit track. You gotta listen to this.
Coop also has the conversations with Brand where they're like, let's not have complete honesty or let's
Bias.
Not bias, but also honesty.
Yes.
So let's have it at like 90%. Like, because he's asking her about how they're not allowed to have relationships, or like the mission was chosen for people who have no families except for Coop, I feel like.
Yeah, no ties.
No ties and no connections, no emotional
and same
connections.
thing with the previous astronauts.
And he talks to Tars, and we have some fun banter of Tars where he learns about like the honesty setting, like why not 100%, 90% is the best for an objective and a mission going forward, 90% honesty, and then the humor setting jokes. And that's where the conversation with Brand, where Coop's like, we're going to spend a lot of time together, we should probably learn to talk. And then Brand's like, and also when not to.
And then she goes to sleep.
Yeah.
And the other two are already asleep by then. Yeah.
And Coop just stays up to basically watch the planet. And that's one of my favorite shots is the Earth spinning.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Little blue ball.
And then Coop does go under as well.
Because
and then Tars will run the ship until they reach the wormhole.
It'd take a long time to get to the end of the solar system. Or it's at Saturn, right? The wormhole's around Saturn.
Outside of the rings of Saturn.
And it would take a long time to get there, so they're going to sleep. Even if we're in the distant future where space travel is faster, right now it's like somewhere around 30,000 miles per hour is how fast spaceships can go, but still that would take years it'll take years just to get to Mars, let alone Saturn.
I think this journey, is 2 years.
Something
like
they
said. Something like that.
And so then they get woken up, and basically they're approaching the wormhole. They're getting ready, and Romley asks to stop the spinning so that they can see the black hole. I mean, the wormhole that they're approaching. Also, they get video footage from their families after they woke up. All the video messages that are of them still young, still the same age. This is before Casey Affleck takes over the role of his son. And Murph doesn't want to come to the camera.
Murph doesn't want to record. And then I think like Brand gets something from her father and just like turns it off. like annoyed or something?
No, she's not annoyed. She's just watching it like, oh, it's just my dad.
Okay, it's when they come back and she looks at his message after the 20-year gap and she's like, I can't take this guy.
Because he's just reciting this.
Yeah,
the same poem.
she gets frustrated and turns it off.
Because he keeps saying like kind of like preaching to her, and then that poem that he says during takeoff, which is said a few times by him later on.
Yeah, she cuts it off. That's what happens.
And so they start to approach the hole. Like I said, they shut down the spinning so they can get to it, and then approaching the black hole is really intense.
Wormhole.
I mean, I'm sorry, the wormhole. The black hole is through the wormhole.
Yeah.
And really intense sequence. You know, I think that what they pulled off filmmaking wise was really unique and interesting.
The sound design's excellent. The shaking of the ship, you never really heard that before.
The music by Hans is excellent here. It's like very rhythmic and almost like a clock, which is which is present throughout the entire film. And
this is also when they're in the wormhole, the hand reaches out. Like it looks like a fifth dimensional hand reaches out and shakes Brand's hand.
Don't touch it!
Yeah.
What is that? First handshake.
First handshake. And I like
little does she know that's fucking Coop.
I like the design of the interior of the wormhole. It's really cool. It's fascinating. I'm sure they tried to get it true to life and maybe accurate to science. And it's obviously heavy CGI for a Nolan film, but I think it looks great.
It's heavy theorized of what it would look like. I mean, no one knows what the inside of a wormhole actually would be like.
But I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then they leave the wormhole. They've entered a new galaxy in a new solar system of new planets with a new star. But this solar system also has a massive black hole, Gargantua, inside of it that we know about, that some of the planets are very close to. And so they have a couple prospects of planets that they can go to 2. So they can go. There's 3 planets that they can check out. The first planet is the water planet.
Miller's planet.
No, Miller's planet is at the end.
No, Miller's planet's the water planet.
Okay, so Miller's planet is okay.
Yeah.
So Brand is. Oh, it's not.
It's the third one.
Brand's in love with what's his name?
The third astronaut,
Let
right?
me look that up. Interstellar.
Because Miller's planet is 100% the water planet.
Yeah, you're right. Last something with an E.
You're right, because she wants to go there.
Edmonds.
So and the astronauts are trying to decide which planet do we go to. She wants to go to Edmonds, and Cooper's like, it's because you fucking love him.
Yeah, well, they have 3 planets and 2 that they can visit. So they can go to the first planet is the water planet that they don't know is water yet, but it's Miller's planet, and she's been sending a thumbs up signal. So they're like, we should probably check this out because it's the closest one to us. But the problem with that planet is it's so close to Gargantua, the black hole, that there's going to be a massive time dilation, which they find out is every hour is 7 years on Earth that they spend in the atmosphere of Edmund's planet. Then also
of Miller's planet.
Of Miller's planet.
I believe Edmund's planet is so far that they won't have enough fuel to get back if they go to that. So that's like just a one-off if they go to Edmund's planet.
Yeah, and then
I think that's the problem.
But also Dr. Mann's planet is giving a thumbs up, and it's closer, so they can do Edmund and Dr. Mann's planet and not Edmund's planet because Coop makes the...
Hold on, say that again.
They can go to Miller's and Dr. Mann's planet, but not go to Edmund's planet because Coop just says, it sounds like a broken record right there, says that we're not going there because you just want to go to Edmund's planet because you love him, has nothing to do with his data or his research or the message he's sending, even though it is promising. That's the reason why you want to go. But then Brand goes off on a theory about, but what if love is something that's connecting us? What if space is bigger than that? What if love is more than just a feeling we have for one another? What if there's something bigger to it? And that's why...
And can transcend time and space.
Basically, it's a beacon for me to get there. What if that is real?
And that's the big theme of the film, ultimately. And we'll see more of that later on in the third act of the film. But Cooper, being the leader and the pilot, gets to decide. And he thinks Miller's planet, even though it's risky, you're basically risking that time, it's worth it. Based upon, I think they're getting good readings about it.
Yeah, they're getting, because there's water and stuff down there.
And because the signal's still going, yeah.
And also he comes up with the plan that they're going to basically kind of do a slingshot around Gargantua to get into the atmosphere of Miller's planet quickly to save time, and then they get out. And so Romley will wait on their ship, and then they'll take the other ship to get down there and come back as quickly as possible.
They're like, we'll see you in 20 minutes, bro.
To save time. And then obviously we have them going into Miller's planet and landing in the water.
But Coop does it like a really fast landing to spend as little time as possible wasted by doing like a slow landing safely.
I need to feel the air on my wings. I need to feel the air. And they get down there. And obviously, there's water everywhere, but then they eventually realize that Miller's been down there for just a couple minutes. That's how intense the time dilation is. She had just crashed, and that's why her readings were coming out as positive, is she just sent that data before she got hit by one of the massive tidal waves. So she landed, and then there's a giant crash from one of the immense gravitational pull tidal waves that came and killed her. And obviously her first readings were like, hey, come down here, there's water. She didn't realize that there were 500-foot waves coming for her. She probably thought they were mountains just like them, because this planet is so close to Gargantua, the gravitational pull causes these waves.
It's crazy scene. It's one of the highlights of the film for sure. And it's the practical filmmaking. They really had the ship there. They went to a coastline where the water was like knee high, so they could film a majority of the scene with real water there. I think it looks fantastic. And I think that even the tar robot, the way it moves,
TARS,
the way it moves, and it can change and contort its body into different shapes for different uses, I think it's fantastic. And it was obviously puppeteered with a little CGI.
Don't say puppeteer, people. Like,
Sorry.
It's the wrong term to use. Just say like it was man-controlled, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Because I remember we said that, and someone was offended by a person who does that for a living.
Okay.
Explained that that's the wrong term to use.
All right.
Not puppeteer.
Controlled?
Yeah, they're
Performed.
operator.
Performed.
Yeah, an operator.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, because I think the guy who actually did TARS was like sent that video and replied to it.
The guy who did it?
Yeah.
The actor?
Yeah.
No way.
Well, the stunt operator who did TARS.
Well, the guy who voiced TARS also operated it.
Yeah, so it's probably that guy.
Did he complain to us?
No, I don't think he complained, but someone else complained to it, and like other people who do stuff like that.
Oh,
Just
sorry,
like say
sorry.
stunt operator.
Sorry, everyone. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there's really a guy operating TARS.
Yeah, but it's the practicality. Even this, when he goes to rescue Brand and bring her back, like I love it, the contortion, how it like turns into like a kind of like a rotating device to be able to get across the water quickly. I thought it was just fantastic, and the strength of the scene is helped by the practicality of the filmmaking
and the music. It's one of the best tracks on the entire album. It's one of the most high energy scenes of the film, and Brand needs the data more than anything. She wants to get the data, and she's willing to risk her life blindly to go after it. That's where TARS saves her. Then, unfortunately for Doyle, he dies.
He was just chilling. I would have been on that ship.
Poor guy.
I would have been there.
Yo, Brand got Doyle killed.
Yeah,
I don't care
she
what
got
anyone
him killed,
says.
yeah.
Doyle could have survived that.
And then they get into the ship just in time. They try to take off, but they don't have enough time, and the ship gets soaked by that wave.
So they have enough time, or they didn't have enough time?
They didn't have enough time to escape the wave.
Gotcha.
What did I say?
You said they got in just in time, but they didn't have time.
No, I'm sorry. They got in just in time to not get swept up by the wave themselves.
But the ship.
They didn't have time to fly off.
But he rides the wave like a boat down, and unfortunately their systems get flooded, and they have to wait another few minutes for it to be able to fire, for the engines to take off, and they're losing years by this time.
I believe it's more than a few minutes. I think that TARS says it's like an hour.
Well, they're down there for 2 hours basically.
So I think it takes them over an hour for it to dry off.
But again, it's a movie. We can't sit down there for an hour for the film. That's why a lot of people are like, how is it 14 years if they're only down there for like 5 minutes? It's a film.
Yeah.
So obviously speed it up.
So it did take a long time for the ship to dry off, so by the time they did escape, they get back to the ship, and Romley has aged 20 years.
It's been 20, yeah.
He's gray. Looks like he's like barely kept his sanity. He also reveals that he went under to sleep for a long time. I think he slept for like over a decade.
Why didn't you sleep? I've had a couple big stretches. That's what he says.
Yeah, he said he didn't see the point in like sleeping his life away.
Yeah.
And so he's spent all the time on the ship trying to learn everything he can about the black hole.
Exactly. That's a tough life, man.
And then we get to the doozy, the big scene.
Well, and there's a little, so...
They go right to the videos.
They go right to the videos, basically, because Coop, he lost 20 years with his kids. And we have the video footage from Casey Affleck, who's taken over the role of his son, Tom, and how he's had a kid. One of his kid had died. Then he had another son, and... Also, Grandpa died. Donald is dead. And then at the end of the video message, we have Murph sending her message to Coop. Really emotional, really intense. She seems like a very villainous character. It's really well done and so well acted by Jessica Chastain. While Coop is bawling his eyes out, because of all the time he's lost from his children, because that perspective for him, it's just been really just, who knows, like maybe a month for him from his perspective, even though he's asleep for a very long time.
Yeah, like a waking month.
It's really just been days for him, his consciousness. For his family, it's been 20 years. And then the scene brilliantly cuts to the perspective of Murph on Earth.
Yes, it's a great cut and transition into the adult version of these characters. And then we learn that she's working with Dr. Brand. She herself is a brilliant physicist and scientist, and she's helping try and solve the gravity equation with Brand, who has spent the last 20 years trying to solve the equation.
Who's also
solve
aged.
the
He's
equation.
very aged, and he's not himself. He seems kind of not hysterical, but he seems off. You know, he's still working on this problem that she's, you know, determined they'll figure it out. We're going to figure this out. We're going to solve the problem of gravity, but he seems to be putting up walls or hindering their progress, which she's kind of getting feelings about. We also then get to have her situation. So we're on Murph right now.
Oh, yeah.
She also goes to see her brother, right? She goes to the farm?
To the farm? Not yet. That's during the climax.
No, she goes...
When she goes to the farm, it's with Topher Grace, I thought, to burn the crops.
They only go there once? No, she goes there for dinner.
Uh-huh.
Then they come back another day.
Okay.
So she goes for dinner, and...
We learned that his son has asthma, and
he has a bad cough.
Yeah.
And that she says, I have a friend that can look at that. Yeah. So I have a friend who can look at that for you. And they know not to bring that up. You know, Tom's wife is like, oh, we shouldn't really be talking about this. I'm married to Casey Affleck.
My husband's a psycho!
Tom is determined to pass
Stubbornly.
on. He's very stubborn. He
Yeah.
doesn't want science to be involved with his son's health, even though, you know, he's probably, because he's already lost a son to the world that they're living in, he's stubbornly defiant against it and is in denial of what's happening because he knows his son's dead. It's actually a really complex character.
He's lost hope.
He knows his kid's going to die.
Yeah.
He's trying to ignore it, basically.
He's completely lost hope.
And they talk about how a farm nearby burnt down. Their crops are being burned because the farm's dead and some of
Nothing's
the corn, some
growing.
of the corn's already starting to die.
Yeah.
And so that's Murph, and then
But
going
it's
back,
all a metaphor for, it's showcasing the desperation humanity's under now.
Yes.
Where people are either dying from health or they can't even grow crops anymore.
Exactly. So we're still on Murph, and she, after this scene, what happens?
I think we go back to the ship.
Do we go back to the ship? Because that sounds right.
They go back to the ship and they make a new plan to go to Man's planet. The next closest,
Dr. Man's planet, because
planet.
thumbs up, and the readings are great.
Yeah, the readings are fantastic. They're
Because
phenomenal.
Dr. Man would never lie. He's the best of us.
And then I think we just go straight to that mission, to the next mission.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Seems right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're right. So
they fly over there,
yeah,
and they
just quick flyby.
then we learn it's like a ice-covered planet.
Even the ice in the skies.
Yeah, ice in the skies, very like frozen clouds. That's what it is. Frozen clouds. They even like bump into one.
And it's great because as soon as they get in that atmosphere, and even when you're watching as the audience, you're like, this can't be habitable.
Something's not right.
You can't live here. Humans can't live in this planet. And then they get to Dr. Man's base camp, and they found that he's in a hypersleep, and they wake him up, and bum, 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 it's Matt fucking
Damon!
Damon! Holy shit. In the theaters, I lost my shit, man.
The whole theater just started like, you could hear just like, oh my God, is that
There were a lot of gasps.
Yeah.
I gasped, too. I was shocked.
Nobody knew.
They did
Nobody
such a
knew.
great job leaving him out of the marketing, leaving him out of the credits and everything about the film, the trailers, just hiding who Dr. Man is, even in the conference room at NASA, not showing the photo that Brent's talking next to as she's talking about Dr. Man. And my goodness, what a performance Matt gives in this film. I love when he plays antagonist. It almost never happens.
I think the initial reaction of Man is a perfect tell for who he is as a character because he starts weeping. You didn't really expect that because you were told he's like so brave and the best of us and like the best astronaut ever. And then the first thing he does when he sees other people is he breaks down and starts crying. I think that's a sign to show his weakness and his fear of death immediately.
Yeah, and Coop even is taken aback, and he comforts him as well.
He's like, relax, bro.
And then he's drinking coffee or cocoa. He's like, pray that you never know the feeling of how good it is to see another face.
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
He
yeah.
said that the last time he went to sleep, he didn't set a wake up time. He learned as much as he could from the planet, sent his data up, the thumbs up, and he just went to sleep because he didn't think he'd ever be woken up.
Yeah, and casting Matt was a great choice because he has that natural charisma and natural charm, but also like a trustworthy nature to him. And I think just as an essence as a human being. And so he really showcases that, and everybody trusts him. Plus all the talk and build up about Man's character, I think everybody believed him immediately.
Yeah, and the audience as well, too.
Yeah.
And he starts to tell them about the readings that he's gotten, and from the research he's learned is that, you know, it's a cold, dark planet, but there is hope for life. You know, he said he found breathable qualities down at the surface of the water where humans can live. And he's like, this is going to be our new home. We hope it's going to be our new home. He's just fucking lying.
He's so excited, yeah.
He's so good. And so basically, and then also at the same time, cross-cutting back on Earth, Dr. Brand is on his deathbed dying, and Murph goes to the hospital, and we learn from Dr. Brand as he's dying, he confesses to Murph that there was never a plan A. Plan B was really always the plan. They were never going to try to get people off Earth. The gravitational formula was solved years ago. He'd already figured it out. But plan B was really it. And so this leads to Murph thinking that her father knew all of this. And even as he's dying, she's like, did my father know?
Yeah.
Did he know? Tell me.
Tell me, you motherfucker!
Did my dad abandon me? Because now she thinks that Coop abandoned her as a child to save himself, basically, to leave the planet. He knew everything was a lie. It was all fake.
And it also, it's like a confirmation that the Earth's going to die.
And and she sends the video message to Brand that your father has died, and also she couldn't help herself. Ends the message with, "Did you know? Did you know that this has all been a lie?" And then they all kind of hear the message.
Except Cooper doesn't hear it, does he?
No, they're
he's
all
with Man.
They're all there. Even then, Man says, "I knew."
Yeah,
we all knew this is the plan. Like we this is the only way that we could have gotten people to go through the wormhole to do the Lazarus missions.
You're right, because he's like, would you have gone if you didn't know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're
you would you have gone if you had known the truth?
Yeah, they all heard the message.
Yeah.
And then they're like, whatever. Now Coop's goal is I don't care that the Earth is dying. I have to get back to my daughter. I have to get back to my kids. I have to get back to Earth. So we'll do this thing. We'll help you figure out and get back to a planet to get to a spaceship, and I'll help you set up this colony.
Yeah.
So I'll go with you, Man, down to the surface. We'll scope it out. But then I'm out of here. I'm taking the ship and I'm going back to Earth.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for clearing that up. You're on it, man.
Yeah, man.
You're on it.
I feel like I've seen this movie more than you.
I think so too.
Not
that I don't.
No, not that. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like when you said you've seen it 8 times, I feel like I've seen it like 15. But I haven't seen it in a while.
It has been a while.
But it's coming back like so much.
There's a couple little specifics that I forgot. Like that's when I forgot.
I got you.
Look at you. Like your chin is up. Look at you.
Got you.
You're like a peacock, like a proud peacock.
It's so
strutting.
Look at my.
That's right. I've seen Interstellar 15 times.
Look at my feathers.
So anyways, Man leads Cooper down to apparently going to the surface area,
while Romley and Brand stay back at the campsite.
Exactly, yeah.
And also there's a TARS robot that's been destroyed that Romley offers to fix.
Yeah.
And Man's like, if you want, it needs a human's touch. Because no, TARS offers to do it.
Yeah.
And then Man says, no, it needs a human's touch because he knows that TARS will be able to get it functioning ASAP.
Exactly. And then
he needs to blow up a human.
Yeah, and this is where Man reveals to Cooper that something's off about him. The way he's talking about things, the way he's talking about like life and survival, and then he starts talking about how when someone's desperate, what they'll do to survive, and like what would you do to save your children. And then he pushes Coop down that cliffside and attempts to kill him. It's a great twist in the film.
Yeah, and then they fight, and Man starts to tussle with him on the ground, tackles him, and he starts to crash his helmet into Coop's helmet. And he's like, and I love how Coop's like, you could risk, it's 50-50 shot that you break your own helmet. The Man's like, that's the best odds I've had in years. And he keeps smashing the helmet because this is like his one shot to get out of here because he wants to steal their ship that's in orbit. Yeah. That's his goal.
And get off.
Is to get off this planet and go back to Earth.
Well, no, he doesn't want to go back to Earth.
He
wants to go to Edmund's planet to finish the mission and be the savior of humanity.
Exactly.
That he wants all the glory. And he wants to be like he wants to finish his mission.
Yes. And so
and also a great thing he says is he's like, you know what? when we went on our missions, I never once thought that I would be on the wrong planet.
That I wouldn't be the one.
Yeah, that I wouldn't. Yeah, so he never even thought the idea of like, what if I land on the wrong planet? He never even considered that.
Yeah, so he's highly arrogant. As
Yeah.
intelligent and as heroic as he is, he's a super arrogant person. I never would have thought I would have been the one to not be picked, basically,
Yeah.
but for the future of humanity. That's a great point. And they have their fight. He throws his comms away, and then Man's basically... This is also with Hans Zimmer's amazing score going on in the background. And he's walking away from him. He's like, I'm here with you. I'm listening. Do you see your children? Do you see your children now? I thought I could watch, but I can't.
I can't.
Sorry.
I thought I could.
I can't.
I'm sorry, Cooper.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to go on.
I need a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
And so, fortunately, Cooper manages to get his comms that are from a distance. He starts feeding his messaging to
Tars.
Brand and Tars.
Yeah.
And Romley's inside the camp. Tars and Brand are outside the camp. They're trying to be like, where's Coop? What's going on with him? And then Romley, as he starts turning on the other robot inside the camp, hits a function, and then obviously this was a bomb planted by Man for whoever was going to find it to blow up and kill Romley.
Yeah.
And it kills Romley.
Yeah, and then Brand and Tars rescue Coop in the smaller ship, and then they also realize that Man took over the main spaceship and flew out and began flying out of the atmosphere.
Yeah, so he also took his ship and flew to their ship in
station.
space.
Yeah,
So it's not. It's
like-
called the Voyager, I think.
Yeah, the Voyager is the big circular one that rotates. That's the big ship, and so that's basically like a race to get to it first, and then Man's way ahead of them. They pick up Cooper, and then
The
it's like-
Endurance.
the Endurance. Sorry, thank you. And then it's basically we got to get there before Man does, but unfortunately, Man already reaches the Endurance. However, this is a great sequence where he tries to lock in his ship into the Endurance, but since he doesn't have the automatic codes, it doesn't work. He tries to manually do it, doesn't lock on. It's like, what's it called? Like malfunction lock or something, or
Imperfect lock.
Yeah, imperfect
It's the
lock.
name of the song.
Imperfect lock.
So it goes imperfect lock, then no time for caution. So while they're in space, they're watching Man try to lock onto the Endurance. They're talking to him over the loudspeaker, and they're like, "Don't lock, don't open the airlock because the pressure will explode the ship, basically." And Man's basically saying like, "We can talk about this, but I'm taking control of the Endurance. We can." Come to an agreement of you coming back onto this ship and continuing the mission with us, but we're not going back to Earth, and I'm taking control of the Endurance. And then, obviously, Coop and Brand know what's going to happen. He keeps trying to imperfectly lock, and even though he's imperfectly locked, he's going to try to open up the hatch and enter the Endurance. And as he's trying to give that speech, Coop's like, "Oh shit, he's going to pop this lid." He starts to reverse quickly, and then Man says that line, there comes a moment, boom, boom, something like that, right?
Yeah, he's like, there's a moment.
There's a moment. But brilliantly, there's no sound in space, so we don't hear the explosion, which is awesome.
And then this is actually probably the scariest part of the film, because you think that the ship is completely damaged and that there's no hope, and we think that there's going to be no hope for saving anybody, but then we quickly learn that the Endurance as a whole is okay. It's just that section of the ship got completely damaged and blown off.
And Coop is such a badass. I think it's still my favorite scene in cinema history, where we have the docking sequence where Coop tells Tars to analyze the Endurance's spin, and then he starts flying towards it. And Brand's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Docking." But she's trying to say that's impossible, and she's like, and Tars says it's impossible. He says, "No, it's necessary." And such an incredible sequence of Coop matching the spin to dock onto the Endurance. The filmmaking is exceptional. The future of humanity is on the line. Coop has to dock. He's spinning and rotating. Brand goes unconscious. Tars is trying to perfectly lock onto the Endurance. Come on, Tars! Come on, Tars! Tars locks perfectly. The Endurance spins. Come on, Tars!
It's hilarious.
It's not possible. It's necessary. No, it's necessary. I fucking love that scene, man. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
You got all flushed and excited. You turned red.
You actually did a pretty good job with the music that time.
Thanks. You did a great job with the narration.
Come on, Tars!
Oh man, I love that. It's a great fucking scene. Holy shit.
And then also
I remember my mind blown when
he
I
has
saw
to
that.
then pull it out of orbit of
Yeah.
the planet at the same time after he gets locked onto and stops the spinning. Then he
Yeah.
has to thrust it out of atmosphere orbit.
And so then his plan is he's going right for the fucking black hole. Like, let's fucking go!
Well, hold on. First they assess the damage, and Bran lets them know that the embryos are secure and they're safe.
Yeah.
That didn't get destroyed.
What about the dino embryos?
fucking Newman's in the spaceship?
Is the Triceratops embryo okay? This episode is sponsored by our great friends at movieposters.com, the #1 spot to get your posters online today. Head on over to movieposters.com and use our promo code Raiders10, you know it, Raiders10, to get 10% off your order today. They have a gigantic selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable. They have all of the Nolan movies, so if you want to get yourself an Interstellar poster, movieposters.com is the best place to do that. They also do amazing free poster giveaways for our fans exclusively. Again, head on over to movieposters.com for all of your poster needs, and be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today.
So now they have to figure out a new plan. Like, what do we do? And Coop comes up with the plan that we're going to get to Edmund's planet, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to go and fly along the black hole's surface to get basically extra thrust. We're going to lose some weight, and then we're going to kind of slingshot around the black hole.
Because they are very low on fuel.
Exactly.
They don't
So
have
they're-
enough fuel.
They're going to use the gravitational pull of Gargantua to send a slingshot, the ship's slingshot, to Edmund's planet.
Exactly. And then, so that Brandon's like, yeah, it's a good plan. Let's do it. So they go to do it.
Well, also, let's get back to Earth
Yeah.
because aren't we back at Earth for a little bit? Because this
This is when
Murph goes
back to the house.
with Topher Grace.
Yeah, to save the kid, to save her nephew.
Check his cough.
Yeah, she starts, and then they then.
Well, he's like, we have
Tom's
to get him
yeah.
out of here immediately. He can't.
Tom's
he
like,
needs
get the fuck out of
He
here.
needs to go to a
So
hospital.
then Murph and Topher Grace go through the cornfields and they start lighting it on fire.
They see that the brother's coming.
Yeah.
No, the brother, he comes home.
Yeah.
And he tells them to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then in the cornfield, so he comes.
Then they start- yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Then they start lighting the cornfield.
Yeah.
on
Well, I
fire.
said Tom kicked them out.
Did you say that he came home?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So Tom came home.
He was like, "Get the fuck out!" And so then they went to the cornfield and started lighting fires.
Get out of my house and never come back.
It's actually pretty good. That's exactly how he says it. And then that's a way of distracting Tom to get out of the house to see what's going on with the fire. Meanwhile, Murph and Topher go back to the house. And then this is cross-cut with...
Also,
that-
his son has some of Murph's things in a box that he's like,
Yeah.
you can take these home if you want.
Exactly. But then Murph goes to her bedroom, and this is going to be where she finds the watch.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
fire for the distraction. She's trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
What's happening, and she goes back to her room to find answers.
Tracing
basically.
back the steps of, remember, the stage,
There's something
the
about
code, the bookshelves.
There's something about the gravitational
Yeah.
pull. That what if it's still here? What's going on?
Yeah, and then she's like looking around the bookshelf, especially. And then while this is happening, this is when the spaceship is approaching the black hole. They fly along the edge of the black hole,
Driving.
Just cruising. They're cruising,
They're doing like 90.
and then right before they initiate the slingshot, Cooper separates himself from the spaceship.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but first Tars gets dropped.
So, yeah,
The plan is to drop Tars in one of the ships
for data.
and to leave. For data. He can fall through the black hole and get data, but also they have to lose weight.
Yeah.
And then, like you said,
I'm sorry. So to lose weight, and then Tars is like, "I'll just get you guys some data while I'm down here."
Yeah.
And then Cooper surprises Bran by saying,
Surprise!
he also
Happy birthday!
He also separates from the Endurance so that she can go off on her own to the Endurance to Edmund's planet, and then Cooper is gonna go right into the black hole, baby.
What's it? The law of relativity.
Yeah, relativity.
You have to leave something behind, basically.
Yeah, always leave something.
You always have to leave something behind.
Yeah.
And so he sacrifices himself to go into the black hole.
Exactly.
So that Bran can go on to Edmund's planet.
Exactly. And then we have the fantastic sequence of Cooper going through the black hole and experiencing all these different instances and physicality and things tearing his ship apart. Incredible filmmaking and really dynamic and different from what I was expecting.
So much practical, too.
Yeah, a lot of practical stuff because you were expecting it to be like, is it going to be fucking crazy and trippy like 2001 or wild like Contact when she goes through her black hole, through that wormhole. But I really like Nolan's approach to it, and it just felt like very cool and very realistic and true to maybe what it would be like.
Yeah, possibly.
And then
because real science was used and developed for this film, and the black hole, what it actually looks like they predicted that before they got the first image. They got it right. Years ago.
Got it right. And then the ship gets thrashed to pieces, so he has to emergency exit. So he shoots out of the ship. And then he's just basically free falling through this empty space, and then then we hear this cool. Or is that you shiver? That we do get a call back to 2001 where we hear this disturbing choir work in the music slowly building, and then he starts falling through the giant tesseract, and it's crazy
it's
percussion.
Scary. It's like horror. It's like a horror movie.
Yeah, it's this crazy three-dimensional construct of what we think is just like these just strange imagery and this stretched mass, and he's falling and falling and falling until he finally stops falling, and he finds himself basically in the center of the tesseract.
He grabs a hold of something, and he's freaking the fuck out like anyone would be like, where the hell am I? Are these aliens? What is this? Even though they'd been talking about these dimensional beings, obviously earlier, they were talking about specifically on Miller's planet, where Coop's like, can't we just, these beings, can't we use them to get time back? Can't we get some time back? She's like, that's not how time works. Time, it travels forwards. It's linear. It doesn't go backwards. Relative.
You can travel through it, but it doesn't ever reverse itself.
And for them, going through time would be the same thing as walking through a cliff or something like us. It's like entering a cavern. It's so easy for them.
For fifth-dimensional beings, it's like time is like a physical construct to them.
And so they know that there are some other beings, some other fifth-dimensional beings, and I'm sure Coop can only assume that what this has created, and he starts to realize that this tesseract is all looking inside Coop's bedroom from her bookshelf.
It was made for him.
It's made for him.
Yeah.
He thinks, then he realizes that it was made for her. It's for Murph.
Yeah.
And he gets readings of TARS, and TARS is stuck in there as well. And eventually Coop is freaking out, and we have the emotional reimagining and revisiting of the stay scene that he has where he's the ghost. He was the one that was sending coordinates. He sent the NASA coordinates in binary for gravity for them to find, as well as he's the one that told himself to stay in the bedroom the day he was leaving Murph. Stay!
Yeah, and doing it also in the past, in Murph's past, because we see all the different versions of Murph in the room, and so every time before the start of the film, she was experiencing these things with the bookshelf, and so it was always Coop in those other instances as well.
And Coop and TARS are trying to figure out what's going on, and Coop realizes that they didn't choose me, they chose her. This entire thing was built for Murph. She's going to save humanity. This is why they've sent me here, is to send the data from the black hole, which were the missing pieces to the gravitational equation that would be able to be used to save humanity from Earth, to get them off the planet. And the quantum data is what Coop then asks from TARS. He uses love to find the exact location and the correct spot to find the watch on the bookshelf, to send the
he sends
data,
the binary code through the watch.
He sends the data via Morse code on the watch hand.
Yeah.
And TARS is like, how do you know she'll come back for the watch? And he's like, because I gave it to her.
And then he's also he carries out the bookshelf gravity thing when she's there as an adult simultaneously at the same time. And this is where he takes the entire shelf and like manages to push off like dozens of books to get that code. And she, as an adult, sees this happen right away.
Yeah, we're cross-cutting with her inside the bedroom.
Basically in real time.
She's like looking around the room trying to figure something out, and then she sees the watch hand on the watch moving, and she realizes that it's fucking my dad. It's my fucking dad.
My fucking dad.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Coop is sending the quantum data.
And then she runs out to Tom. She's like, I got it.
It's dad. It's dad. He is going to save us. And Tom's still like, I don't give a fuck.
Get out. Get out of my house.
Get out and never come back. And we have...
And then the Tesseract closes on itself.
Yeah, the Tesseract closes after Coop's done his mission for the fifth dimensional beings. Again,
Mission complete.
the Tesseract was constructed by the fifth dimensional beings for Coop to be able to interact in their dimension and send the coordinates and the data through gravity through time.
Exactly. And then he wakes up just floating in space outside of, what is it, Saturn?
Saturn in the distant future.
Yeah, in the distant future.
Like probably like 50 years later or something. Because he's like, you're the ripe age of like 112 or something like that.
And then we learn that humanity is now living on this.
Well, before that, Murph figures out the equation.
And she throws the
Eureka! She solves the problem.
And then she kisses Topher Grace.
Yeah, Topher's like, ooh. And I love when Coop exits the Tesseract and we have the high strings orchestra playing of him in the void of space.
Oh yeah.
It's really terrific. Like you said, he gets picked up by future humans, taken to Cooper Space Station.
Cooper Station.
You
named it after me?
You didn't have to name it after me. What an idiot.
Not named after you.
Let me see what year this is.
I think it's like 2060. No, it's like it's 2100 or something like that. It must be.
What year is it at the end of the movie? 2057.
2057.
So that's where so 2057 is the year that the movie starts.
Yeah, it's got to be 2100.
And then it's 51 years later.
Yeah, it's 2109 or something like that.
Yeah, 2106.
2106, yeah.
No, 2108.
2108.
2108,
nice.
I believe, is the year that Coop is discovered. Outside Saturn's brought in and
giant space station,
baseball, fake neighborhood.
Basically, humanity's trying to recreate what they had on Earth.
And they have the farmhouse built, and they're like, "Your mother told us how much you loved farming. You told them I love farming." And Coop, he turns Tars back on, and
first we're first the visit with his daughter.
No, that's later.
It's not.
It's later.
Oh, you're right.
So
because she's not there yet.
Yeah, exactly. She's coming, but she's not there yet. She's been in sleep. She's been in cryo sleep for a while, whatever they call it. And they have like that kid who wrote the high school paper on him, who like works for NASA now. He's like showing him around. I did a project on you when I was in high school. Goes to the farmhouse. Your mother said you were such a big fan of farming. Here's this old robot that we found near you.
Yeah.
And Coop asks, and he's gonna stay at the farmhouse, which is an exact replica of his home. He also sees some some spaceships as well. And he's talking to Tars, drinking a beer. He's like, I don't like what we're doing here, how we're like pretending like we're back home, back on Earth, and we should be still pushing the boundaries and exploring more, and that's what we're meant to do. And then the next day is when Coop's daughter Murphy Cooper, who the station's named after, comes to visit. She's on her deathbed, basically. Probably been put to sleep, waiting for the day that Coop shows up.
Yeah, and probably instructed that if he arrives, wake me up, and I'll go say goodbye to him.
And so she gets to say goodbye to him. This is a really emotional. There's no scene like it in cinema history. I don't think.
Nothing like it.
I can't think.
Well, this scene and also the video message scene, they were first.
This is such. I don't want to necessarily say it's a first. It could have been done before. I just don't know when.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't want to just automatically say that.
Where a father visits his now old child.
Yeah. I can't think of something. And maybe it's happened before. But it's so fascinating and interesting, and you can see how happy Murph is, how much she's forgiven her father.
You were my ghost.
Like she understands everything completely and isn't mad at him anymore, and so happy to spend her final day with Murph. And you told him I like farming. It's really touching. And she tells him it's fine. You can go. I have my family here with me. And he's like, where should I go? And she's like, Miller. Brand. Sorry. She's out there. Brand.
She's out there.
Go find him. And with Tars, he steals a spaceship, which is awesome. And then
the music's going.
Yeah, and then sets off. And then we cut to Brand, who knows how long she's been on Edmund's planet. Probably not that long, because there's maybe a little time dilation. We don't know.
She made like a tiny base camp so far. Yeah, and she's not been there long.
She's buried Edmonds, and the atmosphere is breathable.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Her helmet is off, and we have what you can assume is your own story going forward.
He's totally gonna find her.
He's totally gonna find her, and they're gonna start a new colony of humanity on this other planet.
Yeah,
which I'm assuming has massive time dilation.
It's possible, yeah. It'll probably be a civilization that will never contact the other civilization of humanity ever again.
Ever, maybe,
never,
maybe not.
Never,
Who
ever.
Who knows?
Never.
But
ever.
I mean, because she's still young.
And so for Coop to get back there, he needs to go through the wormhole again, right?
No, it's in the same solar system
As where they are now?
Yeah. Well, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, yeah. They have
Because
to
he's
go-
back on. He's back in our solar
he's
system.
back in
You're
the solar system.
You're
the
right.
Milky Way galaxy solar system.
He has to go back through the wormhole.
Yeah, so he has to go back through the wormhole and then go to the planet from there.
Well, the Milky Way is the galaxy.
Milky Way galaxy, yeah.
Yeah.
But our solar system.
It's just a little tiny sand. grain of
Do we have
sand.
does our solar system have a name?
The solar system.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, we don't have a specific name for ours.
I think it's just called this. Is there a name?
I mean, to differentiate from other solar systems, like an instance like this.
Name of our solar system. Let's see. I don't think there's a name. Is there? No, it's just
The solar system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the solar system is the name.
The solar
The
system.
solar system.
Drop the. It's cleaner. solar system. Drop the.
I'm
It's cleaner.
I'm CEO, bitch.
Just solar system.
Sick reference, bro. References are out of control. Everybody knows it. Social network. And then the movie ends. Man, it's incredible. I think we did a really good job.
I think we do. I think it was fucking accurate as
I
hell.
think we nailed the
It was
fuck out of that.
accurate. Air 5.
Air 5, man. Let us know what we missed out on or what we got wrong.
I
but,
can't think of anything that we missed, really.
Like,
honestly.
did we leave anything out?
I don't think so. Honestly, I think we got fucking beat for beat almost.
Wow, that's pretty good.
It took 2 people though. Like, it would have been hard. But also, like, I would not want to touch Prestige with like doing this with Prestige.
Prestige would be really
That would
tough.
be
'Cause
difficult.
I haven't seen that since we covered it.
Just the time jumps are so common
Yeah.
and constant.
That
It's
one's all
difficult.
over the place.
Yeah,
That's why I want to start with the linear one.
it's a great idea. I think we got it completely. Like almost.
I'm trying to think if we missed any scenes.
Yeah, let us know in the comments or just DM us.
Didn't
if
even
we
need
missed
the
it.
notebook or the screenplay.
Yeah,
Wow.
you did fine, man.
Wow.
You did fine.
I was honestly a little worried before we started. I was like, how?
I wasn't.
I was like, how's this gonna come out?
No.
Are we gonna do a good job here or what?
I think we did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't think we missed any scenes.
Nothing.
Like
Nothing.
young Coop, young Murph.
Mhm.
Got all our
Got
old
it.
Murph scenes.
Got it, man. We got it.
Having coffee with Dr. Brand's like the only thing we didn't like specifically say that I can think of, but we said that she was working with him.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we pretty much
We got
nailed it.
We got it. Nice job.
Wow.
I think it was fun. I think it was a lot of fun.
I think that was a blast.
Yeah.
That was an hour and like 15 minutes too.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
It was. It was. I think we should do another one.
That was super funny.
We
All right,
should
what
do-
should we
yeah.
do next? Another Nolan movie?
No, we gotta do a different kind of director.
Like,
we'll think of something.
we could do like The Matrix.
The Matrix would be a really good one.
Yeah.
Let's do the Matrix.
The Matrix
that'd
would
be
be fun.
fun.
I haven't seen it since we saw it in IMAX last year for that IMAX re-release.
Same.
So that might be a good one to do.
Yeah. It was great seeing that in theaters, and we actually got tickets for Return of the King next month.
Oh fuck yeah!
In
April
theaters.
13th, Return of the King.
gonna be insane.
Extended editions, 4 hours and 13 minutes.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Hell
I can't
yeah!
wait.
Hell yeah! All right, well, thanks everyone for tuning in to Movies from Memory on Raiders of the Lost podcast with Interstellar. I think we did a pretty good job. Let us know how much you enjoyed this episode. If you really liked it, send us a DM or whatever, and we'll do more of these because I thought it was a blast.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. It's the very best way to support our show. The tiers are a minimum of $2 to sign up, and you get access to our bonus episode every week, as well as the weekly chat, which is exclusively on Patreon now. $2, $5, $10, $25, and $100 are all the tiers we have for Patreon. Each one comes with a bunch of awesome perks in addition to all the bonus episodes you all have access to. Plus, $10 gets you access to our Discord. $25 tier, you get a custom episode. You pick the topic, we do it for you. That $100 tier is the ultimate perk. You also get a watch party. You get to come on the show after 3 months. All sorts of perks. There are even more. So check out patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. It is the best way to support us, and we appreciate all of our patrons so much.
See you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our chosen one patrons, Cody Moen, Andrew Hagan, Becca Keene, Benjamin Cook, Calvin Murphy Griggs, Nicholas Martin, Darian, Tyler McFly, and Sal Koching. Our chosen one patrons are our biggest supporters. Thank you so much. Raiders of the Lost podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.